Hello and welcome to episode 143 of Level Up Your Career with APMG. Welcome to 60 minutes of live question and answers where your questions drive the show. I'm Stefan Brendel, and on behalf of APMG, I'm your host today. My colleagues Adriana and Ella are in the chat, so please let them know your name and the city from where you're joining. They will post a link to vote up the questions that you would most like answered, and of course, for you to add your own. If your question is selected, your name will appear in the credits at the end of the show, so get yours in early and stay with us to see that happen. Today, we're talking about building your project management career. Worldwide, the demand for skilled project managers is rising, and we want to learn what it takes to meet this demand. I'm delighted to be joined today by an expert panel who can really help us explore this topic. Sounds interesting? Well, then let's get started and meet our panel. Hello, panel. We have Marion Bell. She's a management consultant with BlueVisions and the Institute of Management, who upskills her clients across project management and capability frameworks, including Agile, Change, and Praxis. Welcome back to the panel, Marion. Hello.
Thanks very much, Stefan. It's great to be back and hope to answer some really good questions tonight. Thank you.
All right. We also have Chris Bevan with us. He's the executive chairman and partner at Provec in the UK. In his career, he has led complex change and transformation programs in the UK, in the US, and in Europe. Chris leads by example and heads up his own change consulting practice and is a mentor with Syriza. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks very much, Stefan. It's great to be here. Great panel. Looking forward to an energetic discussion.
All right. And we have Luca Gambetti. He's the founder of Equality Italia and an experienced coach and mentor. Luca builds deep relationships with his clients and teaches a range of leading practice, including business relationship management. Buongiorno, Luca.
Buongiorno. Hello, Stefan. Thank you. And thank you to APMG. I'm very happy to be here to talk about a passion of a lifetime, my passion of a lifetime.
Yeah. Okay. Ron Leeman. He's the founder and owner at the Highway of Change, where he delivers a range of one-to-one and small group services to help people cut through the rhetoric and focus on addressing real issues in real time. He's, of course, a regular contributor here on Level Up. Welcome back, Ron.
I'm glad you said regular contributor because it feels like I've been on the show all week. I was actually on a show last week. So I hope you're not getting fed up from my face just yet, but I'm glad to be back anyway.
And we enjoy you being here, Ron. Thank you. Falko Werner completes our panel. Falko is a co-founder, agile coach, and accomplished author. Working at Vempio, Falko helps organizations to embed leading practice in DevOps, drawing upon his experience and coaching skills. Falko achieved a first in his engineering IT masters and seeks to achieve excellence in every situation. Guten Morgen, Falko.
Guten Morgen, Stefan. Nice to be back on Level Up and enjoying the topic of how to become a good project manager. I really love project management from the traditional point of view as well as the agile approaches where I'm looking into a little bit more than during the last years.
All right. Thanks, Falko. So we have a lot of questions, and our question master for today is Suchitra Jacob, who joins us from Bangalore in India. Hello, Suchitra. And may we have a first question, please?
Hello, Stefan, and hi to the panelists. Sure. Our first question is from Scott. How do I know if I would be suited to being a good project manager?
Okay, we have Ron who kicks us off with this, and then Marion, Luca, and Falko.
Very short one from me this time. Do you like plans? Do you like planning? Do you like dealing with resources reporting into you? Do you like data? Do you like certainty? Do you like predictability? Are you cool with facts and figures? What about using a structured approach to deliver something? If you've got that kind of mindset, you are suited to be a project manager.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Ron. And thanks for kicking us off here. I think we come now to Marion next.
Thanks, Stefan. One thing I tell all my classes is to be a good project manager, you really need to like people and want to work with people. But there's also got to be a balance between being task-driven and being people-driven. So as much as you've got to be sort of empathetic towards your team and be able to manage any problems and issues that get brought up through the people, you also need to make sure that the work gets done. So you need to have a balance between both.
Yeah, absolutely agree to that. Falko, what's your Luca is next. What's your view on that?
Yes, well, when I became a project manager first, I missed my technical work. So maybe that if one of the people listening is too much attached to the practical work, maybe that will be difficult to become a project manager. So first of all, you need to change perspective. You will have a much greater impact by being a project manager than by simply working on developing something.
Mm-hmm. All right, okay. And Falko.
Yeah, I see the points of all three that already spoke before me. So I see that it's important to like to manage. So facts and figures, get decisions on the board and get it into the decision makers' heads and go the way. Get it implemented with the people who do the actual work and the implementation parts, and balancing both is probably valuable. So I see you need to be able to talk, communicate with all stakeholders, the implementation team, and get this onto the paper. If that's something you like, then project management is probably a good thing. And I remember in my master's degree, when I was taking a class, there were lots of technical classes, and one that stuck out, which was project management, which led me to going into additional course after the standard university courses. I looked into it. I was interested in the planning work and all stuff that you can do. And if you feel something like that, you have a motivation. And this motivation takes you to go the extra mile and to do a good job as well. And if you feel those things in this talk, when we talk about project management, or if you feel this in us or somewhere else, then it's probably a good thing to follow the intrinsic motivation that you feel.
Yeah, okay, right. Well then, Chris, your statement.
I'll give a practical way, Scott, so that you can determine whether or not you're suited to be a good project manager. On our company website, provec.co.uk, we have a free project management assessment, which takes you about 10 minutes to fill out. You get the results, nobody else gets the results, and it'll just point you in the right direction to let you know whether or not this is a career for you. So I direct you to that website, run the PMA assessment, and see where it leads you.
All right, thank you. Well, first of all, thanks, Scott, for this great question to start with, and thanks to the panel for setting the stage now for what's coming next. Suchitra, what's coming next as a question?
So our next question is from Sandra, who wants to know, should project managers also be subject matter experts on the content of the project they manage?
All right. So should they be subject matter experts? Should they understand what they manage? Probably they should. But Falko, what's your view?
I think it's a nice add-on to know what the project internally is going to be about, to be able to structure sub-parts of the project, to understand what things are about. But it's not the main task of the project manager. It is much more important to know how to manage the project, to get other subject matter experts in place, to get those information to the people implementing and running the show, than being the subject matter expert as a joint role with the project manager.
All right. So Sandra, Falko thinks that it can be quite helpful to be a subject matter expert, although it's not the main task. What's your view, Marion?
I actually agree with Falko. I think it's far more important that you know how to manage a project. So if you look at PMBOK, they've got 49 process groups in the 6th edition, and that actually really sort of shows you exactly what the project manager should be doing. So there are 49 processes, all sort of across the life cycle of the project through knowledge areas, and that's what you really need to be an expert at. If you have the right team around you, you should have subject matter experts on the actual topic or the content of the project. But I think far more important that you actually know how to manage a project, because that's your main role. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Marion. And let's hear from Chris then.
I just echo what what Marion and Falko have said, but I do think that it helps your understanding and your empathy with your team, and especially with your sponsor, if you have a context of the industry that you're working in. For example, in construction, if you know nothing about the engineering techniques and the engineering challenges, then having that empathy when you're trying to estimate, when you're trying to plan, could be quite difficult. But your subject matter expertise is project management. It is not the individual sort of functions. But having that understanding, I think, gives you much better context to lead your team and to work with your sponsors and owners within the project.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks for that insight. Understand that the subject matter expertise, sometimes that might be even the start for somebody to become a project manager, just how this historically evolves. But good insight. Thank you very much. And let's just move on to the next one, please.
Our next question is from our panelist, Ron. Can a project manager also execute change management at the same time?
Yeah, well, Ron, thanks for that question. I will come to you last, okay? Let's hear the other panelists first. And I think we start with Luca, then Marion, and then Chris.
Yes, a project manager shall execute change management because the project shall deliver its outcome. It's not only delivering a product, is introducing a change in an organization. Maybe that the project management will need support from experienced change managers, but the project manager must be leading change management also.
Okay, good. Well then, let's hear from, I think, who was next, Marion?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, so I think that almost contradicting what I said in the previous answer, change management is one of those things that a project manager should actually be across. Because if you're doing a project that involves people having to make changes in the way that they work, If you've got a project manager who doesn't understand that human element, the project risks not being a success. So if the project manager, even if they themselves don't sort of get involved in the change management activities of communication and training, they need to make sure that those activities actually occur to make sure that the outputs they're delivering actually are transformed into outcomes through the people actually using the product as it's delivered from the project. Thanks, Stefan.
Well, thanks, Marion. And let's hear from Chris then.
Well, and following on from the last question, I would say that change management is one of the subject matter areas. It is vitally important that I don't know a project that I've ever worked on that hasn't delivered change. But again, change management is a wide sort of scope. You need experts in change management, experts in behavioral change, experts in organizational change. And I think that expertise needs to support the project manager rather than the project manager wears two hats. So it's to me, it's a vital element of all projects, and it needs to be part of the project. And the project manager needs to be aware that it is a specialism and probably needs support in that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if a project doesn't deliver a change, is it really a project? I mean, or why are you doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of a project, is it delivers some kind of a change to the organization. All right, thanks for that. And let's move on to the next question.
Our next question is from Lisa Flock. Are there any differences if I work as a freelance project manager on different projects or as a project manager on a permanent employment in a company?
Oh, Lisa, I love that question. Yeah, because I mean, everybody who's been in this situation knows that there is actually a difference. I think there is a difference. Because you can always be the bad guy when you're the freelancer. People can push on you. But let's see. I think Falko was first and then Marion, right?
I thought it was the other way around, but still I can start. Sorry for being the first. I agree. There are differences in terms of how long the freelancer already has contact to the organization, how the internal network works, and if a freelance external project manager can deliver and connect to the stakeholders in the same or similar way, especially if there are lots of internal ones. In hierarchical organizations, there might be quite a big management pyramid hierarchy on top, and to get in touch with them might be easier from internal. On an operational point of view, executing, planning, and doing the work as a project manager, creating the plans, estimations, communication structures, setting that up. I often see that external freelance project managers do that with a lot of experience from different organizations and bring in quite lots of expert knowledge. And that usually helps to have that as well. So you have to kind of find the good scale or good balance and have both. Both can be done from a freelance and from a permanent employment position point of view. So it is possible to do both. And the advantages, disadvantages, as I said, connecting to the internal organization networks and stakeholders from an external point of view is a bit more difficult.
Okay, thanks, Falko. And let's hear from Marion.
Lisa, I'm going to sort of approach this from two different angles. Firstly, myself having been a freelance project manager and now working for a project management consultancy, I definitely found that as a freelance project manager, the types of projects that I was picking up were a lot less complex, so more sort of simple projects. But I do think also as a freelancer, you do get a lot more respect if you're coming into an organization People tend to listen to your views more, whereas if you're working for the organization and you are the project manager, everybody knows you. Yes, you've got better access to everybody, but they kind of don't really seem to take you as seriously as they do somebody who comes in from outside with new ideas. Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks, Marion. Well, we have quite a few questions and probably also have live questions now coming up. And let's see who's here. There's Anita, joining from Abuja, Nigeria. Hello. Welcome to our show. And from Doha in Qatar, Bahia. Hi. Great to have you here. There's so many people. I mean, it's not just the panel who's around the world, it's also our viewers, which is great. New to the family of APM. And there's Ella, who's, as you can see, our social chat is taking care of everybody who is in the chat. And there's Cleophas listening from Tanzania. So, and so on and so on. I think, Suchitra, we should maybe move to the next questions because we have so many to cover today.
All right. We have a question from Agogo, who's watching us live on LinkedIn. What is the biggest advice you have for project managers who are relatively new to the field?
All right. Thanks, Agogo, for this question. And we start answering it with Luca, please, and then Marion.
Yes, my first advice would be have a general introduction to the project management body of knowledge. You can easily do, for example, on the Praxis Framework website, you will have a very big panoramic of what was written on this team, and you can start understanding what it's all about.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning the Praxis Framework. That is indeed a very valuable resource, and sure, we can put this in the chat as a link where people can find the praxisframework.org. Marion, your view, please.
I'm going to say exactly what Luca said. Praxis is free, and it's really written quite simply, so it's easy to understand. It also covers off on projects, programs, and portfolios, sort of helping you really to understand the project environment. There's just so much extra in there in terms of articles and resources that you can look at. So 100%. I would agree, Praxis Framework is the way to go. You can also do formal training on Praxis Framework if you feel that you actually want, to sort of get some sort of certification behind your name. That would also work.
Yeah, thanks, Marion. I can tell it's a huge resource because I was part of the translation team for translating this into German, and I know how many pages we had to go through and how valuable that was. Okay, I think we continue with Chris then.
I agree with what everybody else has said, but I would add, from a personal point of view, remember that you're leading a team. And from a personal point of view, work with your team and get to know your team. And communication, I think, is one of the most important things that a project manager has to do, communicating within the team, through the team, and within the business that you're in, your stakeholders, your sponsor. So although the term is project manager, actually you're leading a team and the team deliver the project with you leading them. So be a good leader.
Thanks, Chris. And I think I missed Ron when he had his hand up. So Ron, why are you going next?
You did miss me, but I'm going to refer back to the question about can a project manager also execute change management in with this latest question. So I don't believe they can. I'm going to be very, very controversial now. I do not believe that a project manager can execute the full range of change management activities by themselves. There are dependencies on the fact that the size of the project and the impact on the people, etc., etc. But change management is a separate role than a project manager. And on big projects, you need a single project manager and a change manager who work in collaboration with each other. Okay, so the biggest advice for project managers, coming back to this question, is learn about change management, because at the end of the day, a project will always run into problems, and the biggest problems they will run into is with people. Probably things like resistance or not being involved, etc. So you need to understand about change management, okay? Whether it's the full gambit of change management or whether it's just a bit of change management. But there's a whole host of things like psychology, like the neuroscience of change. These are all things that change managers know about. These are all things that project managers probably don't get involved with because they're too focused on delivering to time, cost, quality, and scope. So yes, I'm being a bit controversial, but that is what I believe in. And I actually deliver project management versus change management webinars to all sorts of people, organizations, etc., etc. So if you want to hear my view, just let me know. Yeah, okay, and I'll deliver. And they're free, by the way. They don't cost you anything. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ron. And then we have Falko next.
All right. I agree to most of what we heard to this question, but still, my biggest advice for a new project manager is don't get overwhelmed by the organization. Stick to the project flow. Don't start a project without the budget. Don't start the project without the team. Don't start the project without a kickoff. And keep the flow working. So keep into the or stick to the flow, and that's it.
Focus. All right, many thanks to all of you. So we shall maybe go to the next question, Suchitra.
Sure. We have a question from Ramon in Sydney. Can project managers specialize in managing specific aspects of a project, that is business cases, or does a project manager need to manage the whole project?
All right. Thanks, Ramon. We start with Chris, Ron, Falko, and then Luca.
Well, Ramon, my view is that a business case is part of a project. The project is made up of a number of phases, generally. And having a certain expertise in one is not being a project manager. The project has a scope, and you have to manage and deliver or lead the delivery of the whole scope. So if you do have a certain expertise in a certain area, that's great, but that isn't your job. Going back to subject matter expertise in a previous question, Ramon, it's that there are certain elements where you need certain expertise, but your job is to deliver the whole scope of the project, and that's your scope of your responsibility as well. So I don't think a project manager can specialize in a specific area of the project.
All right. Ron, what's your view?
Interestingly, obviously, the business case is the document that gives you the authority to go ahead with the project. So it's an all-embracing document. And within that document, there will be reasons that you're delivering the project, and there will be business benefits related to the fact of what you're actually delivering. So my view is no, the change manager, the project manager, should not just focus on the business case or whatever other sort of individual aspects of there are of a project, but they should, as previously said, should focus on the actual delivery of the project against the plan that has been developed probably by them. The sponsor is the owner of the business case. And coming back to the change management issue, I believe that the business benefits, the ownership is with the change manager. So if the business case is going to be managed by anyone, it should be the change manager rather than the project manager, because of their responsibility to deliver the project.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Ron. And let's move on to Falko next.
Okay. If you have a small project where there is one project manager, I think this person should manage the whole project, including the initial phases where you have the business case development until the delivery and closing the project. If you have bigger projects with sub-projects even and lots of work packages, it might be valuable to focus on one of those. Have like a hierarchical project structures, even where you have a main project manager and managers for sub-projects. If I think about several hundred people working together in a big project, then that's probably going to be the case anyway, because not one single person can keep track of everything on such a detailed level, so that the project manager could fulfill his or her role. So there are ways to split up work as a project manager, even in relationship to program management or other parts, if there are multi-project setups in organizations as well. But yeah, agreeing to what we heard so far, just specializing in business cases or in other project phases is probably not a good thing to do for a project manager.
All right. Well, Ramon, they hear it. Okay. But let's hear from Luca to close this the round of answers.
Yes, quickly, there is the project manager role and there is the project management or management of projects. Management of projects includes a lot of different disciplines. So you can work in the project management field and being specializing in something. But if you are in charge of a specific project with the role of project manager, your main task is integrating all of these disciplines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that. And Suchitra, I think we have a live question again coming up, right? People are engaging.
Yes, of course. We have a live question from Bashir. Can you elaborate more about the role of business analysts in relation to project management?
All right. So the business analysts in relation to project management. We have Luca kicking us off with this, and then Marion.
Well, the project manager is usually focused on understanding stakeholder needs and translating these needs into specific requirements, while the project manager role is usually to receive these requirements and deliver a viable solution, respecting every constraint on time, cost, and whatever. So they are interlinked, but they're not the same.
Okay, thanks. Luca and Marion, please.
Your business analysts really sit between the client and the project manager. So your business analyst is somebody who really understands the business processes, maybe their IT, so they're able to sort of translate the IT speak into business speak. So they would sort of assist in gathering the requirements for the project and sort of giving those to the project manager, who can then put a scope statement together. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Marion. All right. I think, Suchitra, we should go to the next question, please.
Our next question is from Elizabeth. For Praxis Framework, I understand that less training and less certifications required to achieve the same results as 3 other exams. Is this a good thing?
Is this a good thing? Well, Marion, why don't you tell us if this is a good thing or not?
I wish I'd known this when I started project management, because I wrote Foundation and Practitioner for Prince 2. Then I went and did MSP, Foundation and Practitioner. Then I went and did MOP, Foundation and Practitioner. That's 6 exams, 6 kind of nervous breakdowns before each of the exams, all the studying and the manuals and everything else that went with it. Whereas if I'd just known about Praxis, it would have been 1 foundation exam and 1 practitioner exam. And because it's free and online, you don't need all the manuals. It gets updated on a regular basis. I think Praxis actually gives you more than enough information for you to be able to actually work in the project management or the project environment in terms of project programs and portfolios all in one, and brings them all together, which Prince 2, MSP and MOP don't really do.
And if I may ask back to you, Marion, but does it cover the same scope? Does it really cover the same scope, or?
Probably not to the same level of detail, but if you are starting out in project management, you don't need to be that sort of level of expert. So if you find yourself in a situation where the organization you're working for is using Prince 2 as a methodology, then go and do the Prince 2. If you're promoted to a program manager, sure, go and do MSP. If you're going to run a portfolio, sure, go and do MOP. But if you're just generally starting out and in the project space, Praxis is fine for your first 5 years.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And Luca, I think you were next.
Yeah. Slightly different perspective on that. Obviously, if you want to specialize in the project management field, you have to learn a lot of things, and no certification is enough. But starting with Praxis, you will understand that the project, program, and portfolio management world really is only a single continuum, and this will help you enormously in understanding what is this kind of work it really is.
Okay, thanks, Luca. I have some sympathy for what you said, and also Marion. When I did the Praxis part and thought about my Prince 2 and MSP, and thought, well, yeah, it could have been good enough for me, possibly. Let's go to to some of the reactions that we have from our viewers here, from Abhijun from Coventry in the UK. Hello, thanks for joining us. And Stuart from Brisbane in Australia. Hello, Stuart. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we have another LinkedIn user who's from the Midlands in the UK. It's really around the world here, with Africa, Asia, and Europe and Australia. And there's Eric from, it doesn't say where he's from, but it's change management, involves management of guides and routes that aim to provide improvement within the organization. So true fan of change management here that we have from Eric. Thanks, Eric, for your comment. And there is Bashir again, who was a live viewer who raised one of the questions before. Says he has an execute MBA, and there's Eric, who is agreeing to Luca. So happy with this engagement that we have here on the social chat in our show. Thank you for that. But Suchitra, I think we should move on to the next question.
All right, so we have another question from Elizabeth, who asks, what would you say are the best 3 skills to have to be a good project manager?
The best 3 skills. So, okay, guys, it was almost at the same time. I give the lady first, which is Marion, then Chris, and then Falko.
Thanks, Stefan. All right, I would say people skills, number 1. Your ability to organize, number 2, organize and planning and sort of get things moving. And then number 3, your ability to sort of follow up and make sure that things are actually happening. Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks, Marion. And Chris, your view.
If I look to, if you like, sort of personality traits as Marion has given you some skills, that I think that all project managers are, as I said earlier on, are leaders. But one of the biggest things a leader has to be is resilient. Things won't always go well. A lot of the time, things will be quite challenging. So having that self-resilience, I think, is very important, and it gives confidence to the rest of the team. And I also think the empathy with the owners, with the stakeholders, with the people within the project team is important as well. So understanding that it's the people that are delivering the project, not you as an individual. So having empathy with them, but also being authentic, being yourself, not trying to be something that you're not, developing your own style, developing your own sort of way of connecting with everybody within the project. So from a personality point of view, I would say resilience, empathy, and authenticity are skills to work on, personality traits to develop, and you will succeed.
Okay, great points. Thanks, Chris. And let's hear from Falko then.
Yeah, nice to hear the both views of yours. Before, I think communication skills, connecting people who do the decision making with the execution, with all parts, facilitating meetings is probably the first that comes to mind when I think about good project management skills. Persistence, so making sure that things that are planned are really carried out. I think both already mentioned this as well. So tracking the current status and following up on problems and risks to make sure that they're aware, and trying to be yourself as well. So live the internal motivation. If it's not the job for you, then you'll see after the first project that you try to manage. And be yourself and be open to switch careers if you find it's not the thing that you thought in the beginning. So stay true to yourself as well.
Okay, well, thanks, Falko. Well, all of you, thanks for giving that insight. As we can see, it is really about the social skills rather than any subject matter stuff. So that's good to hear. And yes, I agree with you, Falko, as well. You'll notice it. You'll notice if this is the right thing for you or not. All right, I think we should move on. Looking at the time and see if we have another question.
Yes, we have a live question from Abudin. I'm a health and safety advisor and looking to move to the project management world. Currently taking a short course for project management and business analysis. What's your advice for me to choose my pathway?
All right. So it takes a moment for the panel to think, but Marion has the courage to kick us off. Okay.
I would say, you're an H&S advisor. So within your organization, see if they're going to be doing any projects within that area where you are already a subject matter expert. I know this contradicts what we said earlier, that you don't need to be a subject matter expert, but if you're moving into project management and you're not quite sure about how to approach it and that, if you go into the area in which you're already comfortable and then try and apply what you've learned in your courses, that might give you an idea whether you're going to like it or not, and perhaps also help you perhaps be successful with that project if you understand the environment before you understand, if you're still sort of not quite understanding PM and BA yet.
All right, thank you. All right, so I hope you're doing that was that's an answer that gives you some insight and some advice here. Suchitra, let's move on to the next question, please.
We have another question from Ron. What does the panel think of the statement? the biggest mistake project managers make is managing tasks and events at the expense of leading people?
Oh, I love that question. And Ron, I come to you last, and this time I hope I don't miss you.
Don't forget me this time.
No, I won't. Chris, will you start us off, please?
I think it's very true. What do I think of the statement? The biggest mistake is trying to manage tasks and events, or actually managing people managing their own tasks and their own events is the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
To me, leading people in a project, once you've engaged with them and they have contributed to the plan and to their commitments in the project, I think the biggest thing that a project manager needs to do is to give them the room and the tools to do the job. And if you're actually managing tasks and events, you're not looking forward, you're not looking ahead to see what's going to stop these things happening. You're in the wood, you're looking at the trees, you're not looking at the route out. So if you have the right people on the project, they will be managing their tasks and their events to the agreed time, to the agreed quality. Your job is to be looking ahead to try and work out with them and beyond them what's going to stop them reaching, delivering those tasks to the time that they've agreed. So I think that this is one of the biggest mistakes. Yes, I agree with it.
All right, thanks. And Marion, what's your view?
I agree 100% with Chris. So all I'm going to add is that if you lead your people and talk to your people on a regular basis, they will alert you to any potential problems with the tasks and the events of the project. And especially if you're looking at sort of managing by exception, where no news is good news, and you have that relationship with your people where they will highlight to you where there are issues, then you can better deal with those issues. If you're managing the tasks and the events, you have no real background and insight as to what's really happening there, unless you talk to the people. Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks, Marion. And Luca, let's hear from you.
Yes, just confirming what others have said. There are a number of studies confirming that project management is a contact sport, really. You cannot manage from your desk. You have to talk with people.
All right, thanks. Luca and Ron, you raised the question you heard from the other panel members. So what's your point now?
Can I go back and refer to another question as well at the same time, because I think they're linked. The one about the three top traits of a project manager. I think they should be, first of all, managing the project plan. Number one, they should be also structured in their approach to what they do, and they should focus on delivery, because that's their responsibility. They have to deliver the project to time, cost, quality, and scope. Now, in terms of the actual question I asked, let me just tell you where it came from. It was from a blog by a lady called Suzanne Madston in 2019. She's a project leadership coach, and she actually said exactly that. That was straight from the horse's mouth. So, and it comes back to what I was saying before about what are the responsibilities? What is the difference between a project manager and a change manager? Okay, if a project manager has to deliver to time, cost, quality, and scope, they are not going to have that much time to deal with the people side of change. Yeah, because if you've got a project of about 500 people, as an argument, then you've got 500 people, but perhaps a lot of them are resisting, a lot of them are pushing back on the project. The project manager just doesn't have enough time to actually deal with the people side. So yes, they should be working in collaboration with the change manager. I'll keep on banging on about this, and I apologize for doing that, but they should be working in collaboration, because I still think there is a tendency to mix up the roles and responsibilities of a project manager and the roles and responsibilities of a change manager. I wrote about this first thing I wrote thinking about 2014 on LinkedIn. What is the difference? And the debate still continues today. So it's something that people either can't get their head around, or will continue to debate, or will have a difference of opinion, and so on. And I think the debate will continue forever and a day. I don't think there's an answer.
You don't think there's an answer? Okay, right. Anyway, this is I personally feel like we just warmed up with this topic, but unfortunately, time has gone by very fast. So and first of all, I would like to thank for all the questions that came in, but I would now like to ask the panel to give us some closing remarks, reflecting on the questions that have been raised, and some other advice you would give to our viewers now. And I think we start this time with Falko, and just go the other way around.
All right. I would close with the only way to do great work is to love what you do, which is a quote from Steve Jobs. And that's probably true not only for project managers or business analysts and change managers. So try to find the best area where your feelings, where you're feeling secure to work in. If it's agile projects even, or something else, there are lots of opportunities out there, and probably also with training and stuff to get better if you feel you found the right spot.
Okay, thanks, Falko. And we go next to Ron, please.
I'm not sure whether I should be apologising for my quite strong specific points of view, but I do have strong points of view when talk about PMs and CMs, and I believe that the issue is problematic in terms of success and failure of projects. And I'm not going to go into the 70% question because that's been debunked loads of time. So there is still an issue about the role of a project manager and a change manager, and I think they should be addressed by organizations. They are to an extent, but just to say, I've got a very quickly a YouTube channel, and the most popular video on the YouTube channel is how do you convince organizations to use a change manager as well as a project manager. So it kind of sort of follows my point that I'm trying to make. That's it. I'm going to shut up now.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for your view. And then let's hear from closing remarks from Luca.
Oh, yes. Well, project management is fascinating because it's all about imagining future and controlling risk and chaos. That is basically our life as human being. So from the Babel Tower onwards, we are still working on project management, and we probably always will do. So it's fascinating. Just a suggestion from me, if you can find a copy of this book, The Management of Projects by Peter Morris, is a story of project management. I learned a lot from this book. It's absolutely fascinating. So very happy to be here today.
All right. Thanks for giving us a literature hint here. We have some in the video descriptions already, and you see them popping up on the screen for several. Let's hear next from Chris, please.
Thanks, Stefan. Again, a brilliant sort of session, great questions, understanding that a lot of people are potentially at the beginning of their project management careers. I would say that project management is a brilliant and fulfilling profession, and it is a profession. It isn't just a job. You actually have the physical sort of sense of delivering tangible things. There aren't many roles in organizations where you can have that physical manifestation of you have delivered something and you have moved an organization forward. So I would recommend the profession to anybody. Entering the profession sometimes can be a little bit challenging, but it's something that if you can get into the profession, you prove to yourself that you're good enough to do it. And I would just say that it is something that you develop. You don't become a project manager overnight. You become a better project manager through experience. And going through professional accreditations and qualifications is not essential, but it helps you map your career. It helps you get confidence that you are progressing in your career. So good luck to everybody who are thinking about it. Immense luck to all the project managers around the world. We need more of them as the challenges around the world are getting bigger. So a fantastic morning, and I've loved every minute. And thanks to my fellow panelists. Every day is a school day. I learn from you all the time.
Thanks, Chris. And then let's closing this final round of closing remarks. Let's hear from Marion.
Thanks, Stefan. I've been in project management now for 30 years, and it's been an amazing career. I've enjoyed it. It hasn't felt like work. If you're somebody who likes variety in your life, project management is great in that you're working on lots of different projects. So sort of every either couple of months or couple of years, you'll be working on different projects. It's also a career that allows you to travel. So you can do contracts in different countries. You can experience different cultures. And it's not badly paid. So, you can have a really pleasant life as a project manager. So good luck to everybody. Thanks very much for the opportunity to share my experiences with you. Thanks, Stefan.
Thanks, Marion. And thanks, panel. And now it's the time to say thank you to everyone, to those of you who have raised questions through either Slido or live. Of course, to the panel who have shared their experience here, and also to all my colleagues in the background from APMG in the production team, and those who have managed the chat here. Over on our website, you can search for answers to more than 1,500 questions in the meantime. It's a comprehensive free resource in connecting you with, 170 experts from around the world. Don't forget, you can also listen to the audio versions of the show on your preferred podcast platform. Please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps new folks discover our content. Looking forward, this Friday, 31st of March at 3 p.m. Central European Time, we have another Level Up show in Polish language hosted by my colleague, Dr. Sabina Baniecka, where she's looking at design thinking. And on Monday, 3rd April, at 2 p.m. GMT, we will find out about when to choose between Agile and Waterfall. Subscribe to the show. We will send you a personal summary of what's coming up and how you can join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. Many thanks to everyone. See you on the next show.